everybody? It's your favorite introvert here. What we're going to do today is we're going to be going over some air-to-air photography using the DJI Spark and the Mavic Air. If you watched the earlier video of mine, it's linked right here. You saw that I did air-to-air with the Inspire and the Phantom 4. And basically, I understand that not everybody has the Phantom 4 or the Inspire, or both for that matter. I'm very fortunate to have all of these drones. I've been very blessed. But today I figured I would go over the Spark and the Mavic Air just to show you guys what is possible with both of those platforms. These are really capable machines, especially in the camera department. Now I understand the Spark may be, just a little bit less precise and perfect and crispy and clear, but that doesn't mean that you still can't get the best air-to-air photography. The principles that I talked about in the Phantom and Inspire video apply to this. So if you want to know some of the general camera settings that I use for those drones, go ahead and click the link and watch that video. If not, I'll briefly go over the settings that I use. There's not much camera settings to play around with the Spark, but that's okay, we'll make it happen. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Alright everybody, the first thing that I like to do when I turn on the Spark is just before I take off, I like to check the exposure, which as you can see the ground is pretty overexposed right now. I have a ND8 filter on it. It's not a polarizer, it's just ND8. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to throw an ND16 filter on it and see how that corrects the lighting. That looks pretty good. So we're going to have an ND16 filter on it, non-polarized. It drops all the values about where I want them, or at least close enough to get some good shots. So let's go into our camera settings real quick. As I mentioned in the beginning, we have our single shot as well as shallow focus. What shallow focus does is it allows you to pick your point of focus and then it'll blur out the backgrounds. There are some anomalies with that, but for now we have ISO at 100 to keep as much grain out as possible, and our shutter speed is 1/40. If you watch my other video, the 1/40 is for the prop blur. It gives you that nice blurred disc, making the drone look like it is in action. So I have a custom white balance set at 4700. Again, this allows all my photos to look consistent and the same. So we'll keep that. And I have my histogram turned on, so we should be able to see that eventually, hopefully. And hopefully we'll be good to go if we can get our histogram up and running. But don't worry about the compass there. That is because I'm on my car and it's all metal, so I will power down and I will turn it on where there's no interference. Alright, now we're going to do the Mavic Air. Check the camera settings real quick. We're going to keep it relatively the same as the Spark. We're going to drop that shutter speed down. We're going to make sure that we are in camera mode, and we're going to drop that shutter speed to 140. Get our white balance. Our color again is set to none, and our style again is set to -1, -1, -2. With the Spark, you're not afforded these options. For the photo, we're going to keep it single shot. Image ratio is 16:9. If you're wanting to put these on Instagram, do the 4:3. It'll help you out a lot more in the end. And that all looks good there too. We're relatively okay as far as exposure, so we're going to tap out of this. We're going to go ahead, take off. It's going to get noisy here.
Take off.
There we go. And we're just going to hover it. I think we're going to use this as the backdrop here. Again, I'm shooting JPEG and RAW. JPEG, it allows me to have a quick view of the photo so that I can select the RAW photos to go edit in post. So we're going to leave the Mavic Air hovering there, and we're going to start the Spark up. All right, we have the Spark up and running here. Camera settings have been saved, so let's go ahead and take off and head on over. So as you can imagine, these drones require close proximity to each other to get full in frame, or to at least get as much detail as possible out of them. The things to focus on are your camera positioning, where the drone is, your framing of the shot, where the drone is in the picture, and just taking as many photos as possible to try to get that one perfect shot. You're going to have 20 to 30 photos that you can scroll through and just pick the best one out there, because you have to remember both drones are moving in 3D space. So the good thing about these drones is that they're fixed focal length. The majority of the time they will be in focus with a little minor tweaking that may have to be done in post. Of course, having multiple drones in the air adds to the complexity of the shots that you're going for. So just be careful, mind your battery length. Remember that both drones have different battery flight times. So just keep that in mind. Take as many pictures as you can and just be safe while you're doing it. Let's go ahead and go into post and see what we can do about the pictures. Alright, we have our pictures imported here into Lightroom. As you can see, I may have taken 1 or 2 photos, so we're going to go ahead and scroll through and select the best one, or the one that I find the most appealing to edit, and we'll go with this one. So as you can see, the Mavic Air is not quite in focus. We may have to do some editing to make that as sharp as possible, but I like the contrast of the yellow with the red drone here. So what we're going to do is we're going to mess around with our sliders here. We're going to boost up the temperature, play with the exposure and the contrast, and I'm also going to go and crop it down to the size that I want. We'll crop it down to there. Another thing I like playing around with is the saturation, so you can drop it and you can boost the colors to make everything pop. Make it almost look like we're flying on the moon. Alright, let's play around with the sharpness, maybe make the Mavic Air pop a little bit. We're going to address the sharpening and noise reduction here. As you can see, it cleaned up okay. Not perfect, but we'll leave it like there. We'll bring in some of the vignette and dehaze it a bit. Not many changes were made, but it made a drastic difference to the photo here. And you can go in and you can push the details out just a little bit more if you wanted to, but that's going to wrap it up for this editing. Well, I hope you found that video helpful. If you did, smash that like button. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. I really appreciate your support. I'll see you next time.